whether you like me or you don't like me, whatever your opinion of me is, doesn't matter. What she did was dirty. Dirty what she did.
Has to be the on the planet.
You honestly, kid's gonna do anything to me?
Dana White is never shy about calling out fighters, often with more intensity than the battles inside the octagon. In the UFC, greatness doesn't guarantee immunity from his infamous bad side.
I don't give anybody a leash.
And today, we're diving into the explosive grudges that prove no amount of success can shield you from Dana's wrath. 6. Tito Ortiz. Few rivalries in MMA history are as infamous as the one between Dana White and Tito Ortiz. What started as a close friendship morphed into one of the UFC's most toxic and public feuds. It's all filled with venomous insults, bizarre spectacles, and unrelenting animosity.
I know Tito, and I know how he fights when his back's against the wall. It's when he's at his best. The question is, does he have anything left? We'll find out.
Dana White doesn't just dislike Tito Ortiz. He loathes him with a passion that has transcended decades.
Tito's like, yeah, I think I'm going to come back. I haven't won a fight in 3 years, and I'm old, and, obviously Tito needs money.
Tito Ortiz was one of the UFC's earliest stars, carrying the promotion on his back during its formative years. But according to Dana, Tito's ego outgrew his abilities. The breaking point came during contract negotiations in the mid-2000s. Ortiz, at the height of his fame, demanded more money and even a cut of pay-per-view revenue, terms that Dana saw as an affront to his authority.
Tito was saying, I'm supposed to lose this fight. I got nothing to lose. That doesn't sound like a guy who's expecting to win.
Dana viewed Tito as ungrateful, believing the fighter owed his career to the UFC's platform. In response, he publicly lambasted Ortiz, calling him the most difficult guy I've ever dealt with, and accusing him of ducking fights to protect his image. For Dana, Tito wasn't just a fighter with high demands. He was an egotist who put himself above the sport.
No, we were gonna fight one time in a boxing match, but
The feud reached absurd heights in 2007 when Tito challenged Dana to a boxing match, supposedly to settle their differences. Dana, never one to back down, trained relentlessly for the bout, even hiring a professional boxing coach. But Tito pulled out at the last minute, citing contract issues, leaving Dana humiliated and furious. He accused Tito of using the fight as a publicity stunt and branded him a coward.
I believed it, but I guess whenever you start listening to other people saying that you're not good anymore, you need to retire, and you almost start believing it, you start reading into it too much.
Dana's disdain didn't stop there. He went on to mock Tito at every opportunity, referring to him as a moron and not the sharpest tool in the shed. Even after Tito left the UFC, Dana continued to take shots at him, dismissing his career achievements and labeling him as irrelevant. For Dana, Tito wasn't just a problem to manage, he was a betrayal of trust. Their feud wasn't about business, it was deeply personal, a clash of egos that left both men scarred and the MMA world captivated. 5. Chris Cyborg.
Never happy, complaining about everything. She was a nightmare to deal with.
Chris Cyborg wasn't just a fighter, she was a phenomenon. Known for her devastating knockouts, unmatched aggression, and an aura of invincibility, she embodied everything that made MMA captivating. Yet, to Dana White, she was a nightmare, not because of her skill, but because she refused to conform. In Dana's eyes, Cyborg wasn't just defiant, she was a threat to his control of the UFC narrative.
Dealing with her has been a nightmare the entire time she's been here.
From the outset, Dana dismissed Cyborg as unmarketable. He claimed her fighting style lacked appeal and her personality didn't connect with fans, but it didn't stop at professional critique.
She looked like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. And she did. Didn't she not? Who wants to dispute that she didn't look like Vanderlei?
Dana took his disdain to an intensely personal level, famously mocking Cyborg's appearance by comparing her to Wanderlei Silva in a dress. The comment was a low blow that drew widespread backlash from fans, fighters, and media alike. But Dana, ever unapologetic, didn't flinch. For him, Cyborg wasn't just difficult. She was someone who dared to challenge his authority. The animosity reached new heights during contract negotiations in 2019. Cyborg was fresh off a victory and eager to secure a rematch with Amanda Nunes, the only fighter to have defeated her in over a decade. Dana, however, had other plans. A leaked video revealed Dana lying about Cyborg's demands, portraying her as greedy and unreasonable.
Not. I am going to surprise if Dana White says something nice for me. And, it's not new for me,
The footage vindicated Cyborg, exposing Dana's manipulative tactics for the world to see. But instead of admitting fault, Dana doubled down, publicly accusing Cyborg of being afraid of Nunes, a claim that blatantly ignored her repeated calls for the fight.
But when she talks about her legacy and her brand, right? Her legacy and her brand, nothing's better than knowing that she's a clean athlete after testing positive for steroids and all the negativity that surrounded her about being a dirty athlete, right?
When Cyborg left the UFC, Dana's vendetta didn't end. He worked to diminish her legacy, labeling her irrelevant and suggesting that her fights no longer mattered. Even as Cyborg continued to dominate in other promotions, Dana ensured she was excluded from the UFC narrative, as though her accomplishments were a footnote in MMA history. To Dana, Cyborg wasn't just a fighter he clashed with. She was a symbol of defiance that he couldn't tolerate. His disdain wasn't rooted solely in business. It was personal, vindictive, and relentless. Cyborg's departure wasn't just a contractual ending. It was the culmination of Dana's mission to tarnish her reputation and erase her from the sports spotlight. 4. The Shamrock Brothers.
I don't even want to mention this guy's fucking name, but it's like Ken Shamrock burst back onto the scene.
Ken and Frank Shamrock were legends of MMA, helping build the UFC from its earliest days. But in Dana White's eyes, their contributions were overshadowed by their refusal to fall in line.
Let's not forget that Ken Shamrock tried to sue us. Ken Shamrock owes me $175,000.
Ken Shamrock's feud with Dana began in 2006, when Ken sued the UFC, claiming they owed him royalties. The lawsuit became a lightning rod for Dana's fury. He called Ken a washed-up nobody and dismissed his claims as pathetic. The public war of words escalated, with Ken accusing Dana of exploiting fighters, and Dana firing back by questioning Ken's relevance and skill.
It's weird. I wonder why you didn't tell that, because you're a two-faced lying chump. That's what you are, Frank Shamrock.
Frank Shamrock, on the other hand, went after Dana on principle.
That's the way I think that they really think about athletes who have made them so much money, but when they come to the end of their career, they've got no use for them. And
Frank was one of the most vocal critics of the UFC's business practices, accusing Dana of turning the sport into a corporate machine that prioritized profits over fighters' well-being. Dana's response was as ruthless as it was calculated. He effectively erased the Shamrock Brothers from UFC history, excluding them from promotional materials and Hall of Fame events. The breaking point came in 2011, when Dana publicly called Ken a moron during a press conference. For the Shamrocks, it wasn't just about money or recognition, it was about their legacy. Dana's mission wasn't just to silence them, it was to ensure they were forgotten. For Dana, the Shamrocks weren't just rivals, they were threats to his authority. And in his world, threats are eliminated. 3. Tyron Woodley.
You ask fans if they want to see Woodley fight again. I think that would be a flat-out no.
Tyron Woodley's reign as welterweight champion was marked by dominance, but Dana White never seemed to acknowledge it. From the moment Woodley won the title, Dana labeled his performances as boring, criticizing his strategic style while ignoring the caliber of his opponents.
Pay to see Tyron Woodley fight again. You know.
The animosity reached a boiling point in 2017 after Woodley defended his title against Demian Maia. Dana called it the worst title fight in UFC history, an insult that Woodley didn't take lightly.
Oh yeah, if you want to please me, treat me fairly. I don't need any extra attention. Okay. I don't need any above and beyond, but I want to be treated fairly.
Woodley fired back, accusing Dana of disrespect and even suggesting that racial bias played a role in how he was treated compared to other champions. Dana's disdain became more apparent after Woodley lost his title to Kamaru Usman in 2019. Instead of showing respect for Woodley's impressive run, 4 successful title defenses, Dana dismissed him as washed up and mentally broken.
He didn't want to take the risks.
But the most egregious display of Dana's hatred came when Woodley's career began to decline. Dana didn't just move on like he did with other champions, he actively buried Woodley's legacy, refusing to acknowledge his accomplishments and portraying him as a cautionary tale of wasted potential. For Dana, Woodley wasn't just a fighter who fell out of favor, he was a target for public ridicule. 2. Nate Marquardt.
Nate's done. I'm done with Nate.
Nate Marquardt's UFC career was full of promise until it was derailed by a single incident. In 2011, Marquardt was pulled from a main event due to elevated testosterone levels linked to TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. Dana's reaction was nothing short of nuclear. He didn't just remove Nate from the fight, he cut him from the UFC entirely, publicly labeling him unprofessional and a disgrace. But Dana didn't stop there. He used every opportunity to tarnish Nate's name, calling him a liar and questioning his commitment to the sport.
Facts are the facts, and it is what it is.
The controversy surrounding Nate wasn't unique. Several fighters had been caught using TRT with far less severe consequences. But for Dana, Nate's infraction was an opportunity to make an example of him. He made sure Nate's name was excluded from UFC history, effectively erasing his contributions to the sport.
There are people that are trapped in economic slavery over there, and they're literally making bricks all day long.
When Nate tried to rebuild his career outside the UFC, Dana took it as a personal insult. He mocked Nate's performances in smaller promotions, calling them embarrassing, and suggesting that Nate was never UFC material to begin with. For Dana, cutting Nate wasn't enough. He wanted to destroy his reputation entirely. To this day, Nate Marquardt's name is rarely mentioned in UFC discussions, a testament to Dana's ability to control the narrative and punish those who cross him. 1. Josh Barnett. Josh Barnett's relationship with Dana White was doomed from the start. From his first UFC run, Barnett made it clear that he wasn't interested in playing by Dana's rules. He questioned contracts, refused to bow to authority, and never shied away from speaking his mind.
Josh Barnett. Josh Barnett tested positive for 3 times, and this guy denies it every time. He could really give a shit about anybody else but himself. I could care less about anybody but me.
The animosity began in 2002 when Barnett tested positive for banned substances after winning the UFC heavyweight title. Dana stripped him of the belt and labeled him unreliable, but it didn't end there. Dana used every opportunity to bring up Barnett's failed drug test, ensuring that his reputation remained tarnished.
No, and that's why Josh Barnett isn't and never will be in the UFC.
Years later, when Barnett attempted to return to the UFC, Dana made it clear he wasn't welcome. At a press conference in 2013, Dana mocked Barnett, saying, "We don't need that guy screwing up our roster again." For Barnett, it was a public slap in the face.
Dana White, truly, as far as a real, like the actual root aspect of fighting is concerned, he's a hindrance.
But the feud reached new heights when Barnett criticized Dana's handling of fighters, calling the UFC a corporate dictatorship. Dana fired back with venom, accusing Barnett of being a problem child and claiming that no promotion could trust him. Even as Barnett found success in other promotions like Pride and Strikeforce, Dana continued to take shots at him, downplaying his achievements and referring to him as a stain on the sport. For Dana, Barnett wasn't just a fighter who broke the rules, he was a rebel who dared to challenge his authority. And in Dana's world, there's no room for rebellion.